welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and ladies and gentlemen, we have someone here that not only have I been on his show, he's been on my show multiple times, and he does a lot for this community. Besides being a good guy, he is the owner and operator of Season Gaming. He's also one of the hosts of the Bitcast, which is something that if you're not tuned into, well, I have to greatly admit, shame on you for not tuning in every week. Ames, what's going on, brother? How the heck are you? How you been?
What's happening, dude? Yeah, man, been good, been busy. Lot going on, lot in the gaming industry, a lot with Season Gaming, but it's all good stuff, man. It's all stuff we love, and yeah, looking forward to it. Sorry it's been so long. I know you've been trying to get me on for a while. As you know, between my work schedule and other schedule, it's very hard to get kind of in the middle of shows in the middle of the week. So, but I appreciate you reaching out, man.
Yeah, well, listen, we're happy to have you here today. Obviously, your favorite game in the past year for sure is on the screen for you. It's not Halo, even though we're going to talk a lot about Halo. I could put Halo on the screen, but you know what? I'm so addicted to Elden Ring that why not more Elden Ring? I have died at the last boss over 100 times. I actually have a headache. I died so many times today, which is crazy. But listen, I want to thank everyone that's tuning in. We have a bunch of people already here in the chat. I want to thank you for taking the time to come hang out. We're going to spend 60 minutes, folks, talking about a subject that has been in the news in recent weeks for a multitude of reasons. And of course, I'm talking about Halo and Halo Infinite. Obviously, the TV show has come out. I see there's a lot of negativity towards it. For me personally, I'm actually quite enjoying it. I think this is a side of Master Chief that I've personally never seen in the games. It was never explained. I haven't been a big proponent for reading the books, so I know that there's a lot of, you know, the in-between that I don't know about Master Chief and everything that he has been through outside of him just picking up a gun and just going after the Covenant. That's what most people were expecting. We did get a little bit of that in the opening episode. And since then, we have a naked Master Chief, which a lot of people were offended. Again, folks, it's just TV. I get it. And then, of course, you know, we are going to talk about Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite, as anyone that has tuned into this show before knows, that I gave it a 10 out of 10. It is not a perfect game, no, but my God, somehow or another, 343, with all the controversy, we're able to put together a very memorable single-player campaign, which I continue to go back to because I just am enjoying it, and I'm trying to get every achievement. And you know, there's the stupid towers are the only one of the few ones. I'm missing a few, but you know, we're going to talk about Certain Affinity. They made a big announcement, a big statement yesterday on Twitter. I have that ready, pulled up to talk about. And one of the little controversies that seem to be going on right now is there was a big announcement that the Master Chief Collection was getting another huge update. And Ains, that's where I want to open up with, because the Master Chief Collection, as we know, launched in not such a great state.
Yeah.
But to suggest that they have not put their heads down and really made some incredible, memorable changes would be an outright lie. They have constantly been giving this updates, and we got another one. But you see, the update really isn't the question, Ains. The question is why? And I say that because obviously Season 2, which is the title cover of today's thumbnail, was announced. And we all know that that is coming in May. And it's coming in a little light for some people's taste regarding the map size and how many maps they're going to get and what they're going to be giving to the players. See, I haven't played in a bit. I really, really wanted to complete the Battle Pass. I got halfway through. I got up to level 52, and I kind of put it to bed because there were so many other games. And I hate to say this, Elden Ring has really, man, it's done. I haven't been this obsessed with a game like since like the Super Nintendo days where you literally went to school and all you thought about was the game you were playing. You ran home to play it. That's how I've been with this game. So I never went back to play Halo Infinite online. I got halfway through. I was extremely satisfied with what I got. And like I said, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I don't think you can get any better than that. But Ains, the question is, and it just so happens that you're on today's show and we have all of this Halo news to talk about. If anyone doesn't know him and his team, well, quite frankly, they are a group of assassins masked as regular human beings because they're just that good. And you have an incredible love for the lore. You have an incredible love for the franchise. You've talked about it openly on the Bitcast that when they do drop the ball, it is disappointing to you. You do have a little bit of a heartache because you love it so much. And I listen. Everyone knows that I love Halo, and I love. I really at times have put 343 Industries through their paces. And listen, I don't dump on them because I'm being an a-hole. I do it because I want better, and I think that if you are a fan of someone's work, you want them to put their best foot forward. And sometimes, well, that hasn't really been the case. Now, I really want to reel this back in and get to what Ains has to think. Ains, we've seen it on the socials. A lot of people are feeling a type of way that the Master Chief Collection keeps getting updates when they're struggling to put things together for Infinite. Now, I get it. They're two different teams. I get it. It's one brand. Where do you kind of fall with this? Should Master Chief Collection at this point, I don't want to say be put to bed, but should it be put to the side so we get an all hands on deck kind of a situation to get Infinite where we all think it should be?
Yeah, I get the concern. I think I certainly, from kind of outside looking in, you see a game that now obviously Master Chief Collection been out for a long time now, and as you said, they've evolved it greatly, and you see them continue to get pretty meaningful updates on the Master Chief side, which is great. But from the outside looking in, right, as you're alluding to, it's when there's questions around content delivery and timelines for their core product right now, which is Halo Infinite, it raises the concern of exactly what you're expressing. So I'm kind of in between on this one. It really comes down to a number of things, and they have spoken to this to a small degree, which is, they said about a month or two ago, if I recall correctly, and anyone in chat can correct me, but if I recall correctly, they said that they are winding that team down to where updates to Master Chief Collection will be kind of fewer and far between. And the one that released a couple days ago with the Flood Firefight update for Halo 3 and some other cool things, that had already been in development for quite a long time. So I think that 343 recognizes acutely, and we're going to talk about certain affinity too, right? Is that
sure are.
Yeah, that they know they have a problem with kind of speed to market for updates with Halo Infinite. They know that they've got to ramp that up. They know they've got a lot of expectations, not only of season 2, but ongoing seasons, new game modes, everything else that has to come, campaign expansions as well. And so I think there is an awareness there. I think what you're seeing is kind of the culmination of these large style updates to Master Chief Collection. Now, we have to also remember what really makes this kind of complicated. I know we're going to touch on this too, is that there are legacy Halo developers within 343, of course, and they are working on different engines. So Master Chief Collection is actually on a different engine than Halo Infinite because it's all the legacy content in that game. So that's a long-winded way to say I think kind of all of us are in agreement that Halo Infinite at this point should be a all hands on deck, as you put it, situation. Yeah. I think that they're probably, from what I've kind of gleaned from, Halo insiders, the people who make content for Halo, all the people I talk to regularly, is that they are aware of that, and they are kind of 95% of the way there, is that the Master Chief Collection will be supported continually, but with a much more smaller subsection of employees, and really the expansion of their internal team combined with this agreement and certain affinity kind of points to, hey, they know they've got a problem and they've got to really speed it up.
You know what? Look, like I said, I could pick it up right now and play it and quite enjoy it, Ains. One of the most memorable things with Halo Infinite is how much fun the game is. Now,
Yeah.
as a huge fan, and I don't know if you feel the same way. Again, every opinion is different. When I got into the beta, I went all over social media and I said, my God, this feels like Halo 3. It gave me, and that is the one multiplayer that my brother Neo Mental and I put an obscene amount of time in. And I still, like I said, I haven't played the bit, but I guarantee you that if I went and booted up Halo Infinite, went right into multiplayer, I would still have that excitement for the next level, what I was going to, I gradually get up to. Okay, now I know I'm not going to get level 100 in the battle pass, and that's on me. That's listen, not a problem. But because they're allowing you to continue, I can in fact get that battle pass completed at some point or another.
Yeah.
I just have to pick which one I want to do, which is awesome.
Yeah.
There, a call to arms as if there's a monster problem wrong. If fundamentally, Ains, if there was playability issues, then I think the situation might be dire. But I don't think that's the case here, folks. And
No.
this is where I got to kind of step up and defend 343. Now, granted, in a perfect world, Ains, everything is running fine.
Of course.
Season 2 has more content than season 1, and everyone is throwing confetti and hailing the 500-person studio, which happens to be one of the biggest studios in Microsoft Game Studios. They have 500 people. This is not including all of the part-time people, the coders that come in, right? So but that it's not a perfect world. And I know that I've seen some people say, well, COVID is no longer a part of the conversation. I don't know so much about that, because but again, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything is hunky-dory. We do want more. We do want better. And one of the things coming out of the season 2 announcement, and I didn't get a chance to sit down and talk with you until right now. How were you feeling about it? Do you feel like many people, is it a little light or not what you expected for a season 2? That for the most part, season 1 was extended quite a bit.
Yeah. So they've got there's a lot of debate and conversation on this, as you know. And I'll tell you my viewpoint, and we've talked a lot about this on Bigcast as well. And Travis, who plays a ton of Destiny, right? He's on Fireteam Chat and Last Word with Cog. And I mean, they talk about live service delivery all the time, right?
Yeah.
And which is what we're dealing with here. Halo Infinite is a live service game at this point.
Yes. 100%.
And so when we're talking about content delivery, I mean, there's, again, I'm kind of in between. I'm usually very balanced in my thoughts. That's just the way my mind works. So I can kind of defend 343 in several areas, but then I can also point to things where they're struggling, right? And I think with season 2, your direct question was, what do I think of season 2? And season 2, I'm somewhere in the middle again. It's like, okay, we're getting a lot of good feedback from 343, and what I mean by that is they're being very communicative with their audience, like the core Halo players. They're addressing fan feedback directly. They're being very extensive in how they do that, which is great. They recognize a lot of the kind of minor complaints in the game. I say minor, like things like not being able to use certain colors on different armor cores, right? And like customization options and things like that. Unlockables in the battle pass being more significant, things like that. So they're addressing all of that. They're addressing also core concerns where, like, now in season 2, when you buy the battle pass, you'll be able to earn that money back just by playing it, like every other major shooter, Fortnite, Rocket League, etc., all these other games, Apex. But you say all that, they are adding one map in Arena, as you know, one map in Big Team, and then they're adding some new modes. We think Infection's coming, Attrition's coming. There's a few other modes.
There was the leak, and I don't know whether you heard the last Spartan standing. Now, again, kind of sounds like BR, BR to me. That's not the hand, not the rifle. Have you heard anything more about that? Because last Spartan standing kind of sounds like a battle royale, but is it?
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was going. It feels like, based on everything I've seen, and like I said, I kind of dive into all this stuff. Based on everything I've seen, it feels like what they're going to do is they're driving in a direction where the season will kind of be an outline of what's to come for the core experience. And what I mean by core experience is arena and big team, right? And then you'll have your battle pass that you can work through in kind of all the modes, because those are based on challenges, as you know, and you can unlock the challenges in any mode. But in parallel to that, what they're doing based on all these leaks, based on data miners and everything else, is they have an awful lot of things in development that seem to be coming outside of their seasons. So it looks like, as you said, Last Spartan Standing was leaked. And if you look at the settings that have been mined from that, it definitely feels like a take on Battle Royale, maybe not necessarily
their own spin. You know, and you know something? Why not? Because you can go and play a Battle Royale anywhere. If you're going to play a Battle Royale on Halo, it might as well have its own arc or its own flavor, so to speak.
100%. And I mean, I've always said, like, I've always been there, that even the Halo community split on everything, right? But they
it's like the Star Wars community.
Yes,
there's no kind of in between.
No, you just a new topic comes up and you pick a side and argue about it. You know what I mean? So I've always been on the side that Battle Royale should be in Halo because it's the perfect sandbox for it. You have Spartans, you have ODSTs, you have tons of vehicles, you have these awesome planets and landscapes. And I think that there's a great sandbox for them to work with there. So you've got that's apparently coming. And that is, from what we all understand, is completely separate from this other kind of mega Warzone, and Warzone, not Call of Duty, but Warzone from Halo 5. Mega Warzone mode, which is PvE/PvP, that they're apparently developing in coordination with Certain Affinity. So, and that doesn't even touch on all the other things that have been mined, which are like, there's like 5 other modes that have been found. There's tons of different armor cores and settings and medals and all this stuff. So I really do believe that 343 from a creation standpoint is headed down the right track. They know they're very acutely aware of what the audience like me wants, the hardcore fans. They're acutely aware of what they have to do to be broadly successful with their game as a long-term platform. And they're kind of it seems like they're putting a lot of development effort into creating lots of new experiences. I think where the struggle is, and again, we don't know definitively. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
This is a very speculative kind of a conversation.
But I think you said the word earlier about management, and it feels like if you read up on the details of Halo Infinite's campaign over the past 3 or 4 years, right, along with what we're seeing out of the multiplayer launch, it just feels like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing at times. You know what I mean? And or where there's smoke, there's fire, whatever euphemism you want to use here. But it feels like there's definitely something that is preventing them from hitting this stride in delivery that we all want to see them hit. And I don't know what that is. We all want to see them overcome it. It feels like Joseph Staten came in and really helped on the campaign side. And he's helping from an organizational perspective at 343 as a whole, but he's one man. And when you have a studio as big as this, where you have hundreds of people in different teams, and they've got the TV show, and they've got books and comics, and they've got merch, and they've got all these different things kind of going on at once, it just feels disconnected. And I don't know how they solve that.
You know, it's interesting. Before I give to my point, I got to thank 3 people that dropped super chats in. We have a $2 super chat coming in from Jacob Novick. He says Elden Ring sword and Liverpool scarf on Phil's shelf. Well, that probably does mean something, because, you know, anything on Phil's shelf, man. Drawn TJ drops not 1 but 2 super chats. The first one of $10. Thank you for the generosity as always, brother. He says, morning guys. Hope it's Battle Royale mode being made, where we drop in and drop pods, and we fight against Spartans and Covenant with vehicles around the map. The flood is the barrier. That would be, it's kind of dope. And he drops an additional $2 super chat and says, I bet it's Battle Royale mixed with Halo 5 Warzone. Yeah, we're gonna get into we're gonna get that. Look, one of the criticisms, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Ames. I kind of sat back in my chair and I was like, wow, that was a real missed opportunity. And, you know, we've seen several missed opportunities for 343. One of them happens to be any kind of connection to the TV show with Halo Infinite, in the form of special items, right? Specialty items that you can get for logging in and watching the show and then go back logging in and playing Halo. There's no cross pollination. It really, I mean, and I don't know who do we ask what happened? Do we ask Phil? Do we ask Bonnie Ross? Do we ask head of Halo and Jason Joseph? I won't say Jason. Joseph Stoughton.
Mm-hmm.
Do we ask him? Because you made mention of something I thought was very interesting. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and unfortunately, we can't say for sure. We can only speculate what's been presented for us. And my glass is always half full, folks, and you know that. That's why you always say I'm one of the most positive guys. Well, Ains is right there with me in regards to being positive. I would much rather be positive and be wrong than be negative and be right. That's just my nature as a whole. But questions can be asked as to this is an example of the management concern. I don't want to say an issue because I don't work for 343. I don't know. But it's one of those things you say to yourself, wow, man, the Halo show we've been waiting for a decade, right, Ains? A decade to get a TV show. Like I said, I personally, folks, I'm going to be honest with you. You may hate me for this. I actually quite enjoy it, to be honest. It's no problem for me. Sure. Do I want Master Chief to be in the armor? Would I like him not to take off the helmet as much? Probably. I think there's way too much of the helmet off, to be honest. I mean, again, you take it off, you show yourself to the girl. That thing shouldn't come off until, he's taking a shower, which I didn't know he did. So there you go. I mean, there you go. But we're here to talk about the gaming aspect. The film aspect, like I said, the Halo series is going to be the Halo series. It unfortunately launched with controversy due to a quote that was, I think, taken a little bit out of context. With
it was
we don't look at the game, we don't even acknowledge the game. That was for just press. That was just for clicks. That's not exactly what he said. They're doing it their way, and they're doing it in a way that makes sense for TV. And like I said, I'm quite enjoying it, but I do want to move this along. Ains, and I have to bring up Certain Affinity because a lot of people don't know that Certain Affinity has been working with the Halo franchise for a decade and a half. They think that, this is a new studio working on a Halo. That's not in fact the truth at all. As a matter of fact, they've been there for 15 years in total. So I want to read what they wrote. This dropped on April 12th from the official Certain Affinity Twitter account, and this is what they had to say. And they said this. Let me just pull it up. We've been a part of the Halo franchise for more than 15 years, and we're honored to say that we are deepening our relationship with 343 and have been entrusted with further evolving Halo Infinite in some new and exciting ways. Please, join us on our journey. And when you click the join, it obviously it comes, the first four comes up as the best place to work in 2021 as per GameIndustry.biz, and of course I'm talking about Certain Affinity. So obviously the place won this big award, and it's something to be said. So this is what they're looking for, folks. They're looking for a senior VFX artist, an environmental artist, senior material artist, director of animation, lead technical artist, senior lighting artist, senior concept artist, senior technical animator, a senior animator, technical artist, material artist, and a senior environment artist. Now that's just in the art department. And I'm not going to read it all, folks, because this is only a 60-minute show, but I'm going to give you what they have a ton of spots open for design, operation, production, and programming. So by just doing a quick look, Ains, there's about 40 positions opened at Certain Affinity to continue their relationship with 343 Industries, and obviously to bring new and interesting things to Halo. For you hearing this, what yeah, now this is an entire studio. This is,
Yep.
people don't people, this is not a couple of people. This is an entire studio
Yep.
that has been working on Halo for over a decade. So when you hear that they are now kind of knuckling down, and they didn't say Halo, right? They said Halo Infinite specifically to let you know that, hey, listen, we understand that there are some issues, and we're going to do our best to address it in new and interesting ways. Does hearing this on the 12th give you confidence that Bonnie Ross and the folks at 343 Industries are listening to what the fans want?
Yeah. Yeah. This is honestly, goes back to what I said around, if you just kind of really dive in and into the details here. 343 is showing they know that they have to get faster speed to market with content delivery for Halo Infinite. And hearing that Certain Affinity is going to broaden their relationship with 343 on Halo Infinite, this is quite literally the best news that any Halo fan could hear. So you talked about Certain Affinity's kind of background, but for those kind of listening or tuning in who don't know the full history here, Certain Affinity was founded by and is led by a guy named Max Hoberman. If you don't know who Max Hoberman is, he was a senior designer on Halo CE and Halo 2 at Bungie. He was one of the senior leads at Bungie when Halo got big. He is fundamental to the Halo 2 multiplayer design with the ranking and online and lobby system. He is literally one of the guys that made Halo what Halo is today. He founded Certain Affinity when him and some of the few other designers split from Bungie. And since then, they have worked on Halo pretty much nonstop.
Yeah.
They did a map pack for Halo 2. They worked on Halo 4 Forge. They did a map with Halo 4 as well. They did work on Halo 5. They did work on Halo Infinite. I mean, they have been working on Halo his entire career since the beginning. So they also are known for creating tremendous multiplayer map designs. They've created some of the most memorable maps, like Max Hoberman and some of the other designers I'm referring to have created some of the most memorable maps in Halo history. So the fact that they were already helping on Halo Infinite, already supposedly developing this PvE/PvP mode that's coming sometime in the future, but now they've kind of been pulled in to say, look, we need again, all hands on deck, right? Like, we need all of your effort to go towards Halo Infinite in coordination with the rest of 343. This literally made my day when I read it, because there's not a better studio. You could have pulled anyone in to help with Halo Infinite. There's not a better studio on the planet from a quality perspective and a Halo knowledge perspective that is better than Certain Affinity for Halo Infinite. So this is fantastic.
It is extremely fantastic, because what this is kind of like a call to arms.
Yeah.
Now, just to give people an idea, right, of how many people are actually at Certain Affinity, I pulled up their LinkedIn, and currently, as of today, literally minutes ago when I pulled it up, when you go there, it's pretty cool. It says Certain Affinity, 15 plus years, kicking ass and making games. you gotta say, man, I gotta work at this place, right? Well, they have 213 people on LinkedIn that are attached to the studio, and that's full-time employees. Now, look, like I said in the opener, they're a separate studio. They're not like in the bullpen. They are legit, probably the best people outside of 343 that could make Halo anything. They're right there, shoulder to shoulder. So to hear this is extremely exciting.
Yeah.
I'll ask the question: why wasn't this done from jump? I mean, again, it's one of those questions we're going to continue to ask. Season 2 coming in hot. We know what we're getting. We don't know what we're getting afterwards. That has a lot of people concerned. Now, we've talked about Certain Affinity. We've talked about leadership. We've talked about direction aims. One of the things I kind of want to talk about is player count. It is a hot topic. We saw a lot of folks that are in the anti-Xbox community trying to use one metric as being the metric of all, and that is Steam numbers dropped pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean Halo is dead? Folks, It's not. It's far from dead. This is look. We saw many of the free-to-play games that you go to right now suffer some very similar situations. Apex Legends came out hot, came out of nowhere. Everyone's playing it, everyone's loving it, everyone's, oh my god, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. No, who cares about Titanfall 3? I do, but there was a point where there were content light, and people stepped away from the game. Where they go back to? They went back to Fortnite. They went back to PUBG, if that's even a thing. Call of Duty Warzone. You know, listen, they haven't really had a content problem, but they had issues just like everybody else. And people were like, yeah, they haven't had, you know, a ton of new stuff in one drop. It was drip fed out.
Yep.
This happens to free-to-play games. Now, I'm not going to sit here, Ains, and suggest that I'm making an excuse for 343 because I'm not. I'm not going to do that. They are a 500-plus person studio run by a veteran of the industry in Bonnie Ross, and obviously we saw that the single player took a big turn for the better when Staten came back. My question to you, and I'm going to ask the chat because we got almost 250 people here. Can 343 and Certain Affinity win back the fans? Can they bring them back with the content drop that's coming in May? And how long does it take before we start to see newer content to continue in season 2?
Yeah, I think the last part of your question there is key, right? We know what season 2 is going to launch with. It's only 2.5 weeks away, 3 weeks away. Yep. And we know that, yeah, that's nice. New battle pass is great. New cosmetics, couple new maps. That's nice, but that's not going to sustain for too long. It'll bring some players back, of course. But this is kind of the nature of service delivery. One of the things I kind of started on earlier and I didn't elaborate is, you know, and you touched on it, was when you go back and look at the origins of Fortnite or Apex or any of these games that are kind of a continual free-to-play live service at this point, is it does seem to take these studios, even though the blueprint is seemingly there, right? It does seem to take all of these studios a little while to get into a good cadence with delivery. And along the way, the nature of live service is that, quite frankly, players consume content faster than it can be developed. That's just the nature of game development. So I think that season 2 is the first step. I think there are a couple keys that will that 343 needs to hit, in my opinion, anyway, to kind of keep players interested as they develop these kind of bigger content drops down the line. One is that we haven't heard from them definitively yet that season 2 is just going to be the original plan 3 months. That's key. I don't think season 2 can be extended like season 1. We need to have season 3 months post season 2, which was the original plan, right? Have a season every quarter. We need co-op to be delivered, which is supposed to come sometime in season 2. Yep. So hopefully that's going to come. Forge is going to be massive.
Wasn't that originally talked about for season 3?
Forge?
Yeah.
Yes. Originally it was. Right now, it is in play testing. There are guys I know who have played with Halo Infinite.
Yeah, John from Xbox Era is testing it right now as we
Sweet.
speak. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, so it's there. From everything I've heard, this is going to be a kind of fundamental shift in game creation tool for Halo. And, you know, the long picture vision here is kind of where they got to in Halo 5 Guardians, which is you kind of have this custom game browser and you can join match-made custom games endlessly, which is at that point creates kind of endless content and fills the gaps for some players anyway from what 343 can deliver. But going back to the original thing, season 2 drop is good. It's not going to sustain a long period of time, in my opinion. They have to kind of use these seasons and some events during the seasons before they get these major drops. The things like we're talking about, potential battle royale, potential major mode from Certain Affinity, more substantial season drops where you have more cosmetics and say maybe 4 maps, 5 maps at a time, you know, things that are really going to expand. I think they will get there. I honestly do. I honestly think that we're going to look back on this conversation at the end of this year or early next year, and Halo is going to be thriving with a lot of different content. And we're going to say, you know, 343 kind of came out of the gate a little slow, but they got there. And they recognize, I hope everyone understands that they recognize the deficiency here and how important it is that they get this right. Master Chief Collection is a prime example. You already touched on that, where they launched, it was in terrible shape. We all remember that debacle. I mean, it was bad, right? It was just fundamentally broken.
It was pretty bad. But if you go back and you play it now, Ains,
it's spectacular.
Absolutely night and day.
Yeah, I honestly, I say all the time, I think it's the best single collection of video games there is.
Well, I mean, listen, you say that, and I agree with you 1,000%. Because look, I'm going to say this right now. Maybe Halo isn't your bag, and I'm not going to argue with you if it's not, right? Because everyone has their taste of games, sure. But you can't argue that there's any one better collection that lets you do things that I've never seen before. Set up how you want to play through the game. You know what I'm saying? Which is, you know, go to this campaign level, go to this one. There's so much to do. It's bonkers, and it is the best compilation of any one big franchise I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, yes, exactly, and so I know it took them time, but I think, you know, even if you're not using that as an example, my long-term point here is that I honestly believe Halo Infinite's going to be fine. I know 343 has dropped the ball. I mean, they just have at times. But I'm confident that Infinite is going to get where it needs to be. The Certain Affinity Agreement is just further proof of that.
Yep.
Joseph Staten coming back, further proof of that. I mean, it's just, they know what they need to do. They will get there. What would concern me more, right, is if, say, we were getting the same content, but they weren't really communicating or responding to fan feedback. They were kind of hiding, and that's not what we're seeing. They are right out in front, literally addressing everything that the fans, especially even the hardcore fans like myself, are bringing up. And, you know, the content creators I talk to, the Halo content creators and others, sure, there's disappointments around there, around delivery, everything we're talking about, but there's at least recognition that, look, 343 gets it. And they're making the moves necessary to get into a better cadence. As I kind of said, there's some of this which feels like a dropped ball, but there's some that is just live service content delivery. There are always going to be gaps where it starts to feel stale. They can't create content as fast as we want to consume it. That's not going to be the case. If you go back and look at prior multiplayer games in past generations, remember when we used to buy the map packs?
We sure did. $20.
Yeah, and you'd wait 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, whatever it was, and then you'd buy a disc for $20-$30 where you get 2 or 3 maps, and we loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very different market nowadays. The expectations are so much higher because of what's been shown to be able to be delivered from these huge games. I mean, Fortnite, you know, whether you like Fortnite or not, it's hard to argue that they don't have just a masterful handle on delivering content for their fans right now.
You know, so it's funny you say that, because one of the things that Fortnite does in just an incredible amount of content is their guest characters.
Yeah, it's their IP licensing.
They have had. I don't think there is a platform IP that they have not had characters from for us to go out and buy. Everything from Kratos to Master Chief, everything from Marvel and DC to the Matrix. The most unusual, obscure characters find their way into Fortnite. And one of the things, and I know this is I'm probably going to get booed on my own show for this, and that's fine. You know, I have no problem with criticism. The rumored, the leaked battle royale game Last Spartan Standing.
Yeah.
Once, you know, we don't know. This is a leak, right? These leaks could be wrong. It happens all the time. This could have been planned, and they were like, "No, we're not doing it." I kind of want to just throw this out there, because you mentioned Fortnite. Hard to talk about a free-to-play game and not talk about Fortnite, because what Epic Games is doing is just a master stroke of genius. They're getting people to spend money, but more so, for the most part, Ains, for years, they played on one giant map.
Yep.
That was it. But what did they do? The people kept coming back because they kept doing events. They kept bringing characters and battle passes every quarter without fail that would give you X, Y, and Z. And one of the things that would be a big boost, and this is where I want to get your honest opinion on this. There is a Halo camp that says if you put a battle pass, a battle royal into it, I'm out because that's not what I want. I want Halo to be Halo, and I think that is a very closed-minded opinion. You can play Halo. Big team battles there for you. You want to play a Slayer? Go crazy. I personally think that this stonewalled attitude about a battle royale not coming to Halo is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that that's what I'm going to play. I'm a big team battle guy. That's my bag. That's what I've always. So Last Spartan Standing does not really appeal. Will I try it? Of course I'm going to try it. But Ains, the question is, with Halo Infinite struggling with numbers, is the evolution of the next big update Last Spartan Standing? Can they benefit from a battle royale?
Oh, hugely. Yeah, hugely. And I'm 100% with you. Like I really, there's a subsection of the hardcore Halo community that is just blinded by nostalgia, as always, right? It happens with every major franchise.
Indeed.
And it's just like, we want Halo 3 or Halo 2, what have you, whichever one's your favorite. And it's like, you can still have that. The one thing that we haven't touched on, right, is that Halo Infinite's mechanics are flawless. Well, not flawless,
Dude,
but I mean, they're incredible.
I'm gonna tell you this right now, and I want to just jump before I let you finish your point. I really want to jump on this because I don't want to lose it. I'm old, so I forget things. One of the things that I've always said about Bungie is their shooting mechanics.
Yep.
In Destiny is incredible. I mean, it is one of the best in the business. But I'm going to tell you this right now, and I'll say this live on the air. I think 343, what they were able to do with Halo Infinite, absolutely matches it. I'm not going to say it exceeds it. I'm going to say it at least at minimum matches it. I found it absolutely so incredible, so easy. I never found myself overwhelmed. As you get older, folks, and I'm going to be 52 this year, you don't have the same set of mechanical skills that you did. That's just getting old. That's life. But somehow or another, I never felt outgunned, Ains. Never. I always felt that I could hold my own, and that is tip the Mokor to 343 Industries.
Yeah, the gunplay is phenomenal. I've argued many times that it's, in my opinion, I completely agree with you. I actually think that Halo Infinite has the best gunplay mechanics on the market right now. And I play, me, I'm competitive in this space. I play everything.
Yeah. Walking assassin, ladies and gentlemen. He just admitted it live on the air.
I adore it. And so I think the conversation we'd be having is different if the fundamental game mechanics had problems, right? Yes. I don't think that's the case. And so taking it back to the Battle Royale, a lot of people, I think the problem is a lot of people hear Halo Battle Royale and they're like, oh God, Halo's gonna try and copy Apex or copy Fortnite. And that's, you said it, that's not what it's doing. It's just another option for gameplay.
Correct.
It's very clear. The arena mode and the HCS, the Halo Championship Series, if you follow it, the competitive team within 343 is very serious. They put a ridiculous amount of effort into the 4-on-4 core arena experience, which is classic Halo. That is classic Halo to a T. The big team battle mode, I'm with you, Boom. I adore big team battle. Like, that's always been my favorite mode. I just love it to death.
Some of my biggest memories have come out of big team battle. I mean, my brother and I, during Halo 2 and Halo 3, we actually used to train. Like, we would go, the 8 of us that played regularly, some guys were in the military, we would go and we would train on a board, and it would just, we were that serious and we were that good. And what you're talking about is something that we're seeing more and more often now, that people are taking this stuff serious.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I guess the point I'm making is it doesn't have to be either or. And I know people are going to say, well, Yeah, but you could use, if you've got resources working on a battle royale game mode, why don't you have those people working on more maps for arena or something like that? And that's just fundamentally not how game development works, right? There's a long list of different kind of roles that people play in game development, and those roles are shifted all over needs all the time. There's really no reason, especially with a studio this big and the investment this big from Xbox into 343 and Halo as a franchise. There's no reason you can't do these things in parallel. The only reason that we're questioning that, I feel right now, is going right back to the beginning conversation, which is cadence. And they haven't gotten to the point yet where they're just rolling, right? They're trying to get that ball rolling downhill. And like I said, I think they're going to get there. But your original point on battle royale is, yes, I think that there is a certain community. If you just know, between streaming and YouTube and all these different things in the social space today, there is an audience that really lives for battle royale.
Yep.
And I don't think Halo needs a battle royale, but I think a battle royale would not only be awesome in Halo, I want to see it and play it, but I think it will help.
It will certainly benefit the conversation, because one of the things that I've seen on the socials is you'll get people to say, instead of talking about Halo Infinite, its mechanics, its graphics, its funability, if you will, what we keep hearing, what I keep seeing is it doesn't have a battle royale. But if it did, I would. And then you continue your, the sentence. Again, the word need, very subjective.
Sure.
Does this need this, or does that need that? I hear you if you say otherwise, but the old guard for franchises, for big franchises, sometimes stagnate growth.
Yes, big time.
And it's very unfortunate. I'm an old dog. I played the original Halo, folks. I was there on launch day. I've been playing Halo since its inception. I've read the books. I'm watching the show. I'm quite enjoying it. But I've also have to understand that we can have what made Halo great, which we're playing right now. But what's wrong with advancing and bringing in new players? Because I can guarantee you, Ains, the crowd that they could potentially grab from this from the gamers around the world are probably going to be the Fortnite crowd, the Apex Legends crowd, the Call of Duty crowd. But you know what they're not going to do? They're probably never going to play standard Halo, but they're going to go and they're going to be competitive in the battle royale mode, which again, what does that do? It invites new people in.
Yes.
And when you invite new people in, what happens? Well, two things, Ains. You make a lot of money. That's number one, and this is a business, but you populate the servers and you're getting people to play this game. When people play the game, they talk about the game, and it continues to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, you nailed it. I completely agree. Yeah, it's another avenue for people to enjoy Halo and experience a franchise, maybe for the first time, as you said, that we love and adore, and start to recognize why there's such an adoration for this as a franchise, and that may get them to try the campaign. Maybe they haven't even bothered with Halo, right? And it brings new energy. In fact, our brother over here, One Bad Mother from Era, just said it infuses the community with new energy, and that's exactly it.
Yes.
The classic. If you're a guy, and trust me and Abe have played together. If you're that classic guy that loves the sweaty 4-on-4 arena Halo, which as much as I do, believe me, it's still there. You're not losing anything. It's still there to be played. So I think I'm completely with you. Infuse the community with new energy. Use those Halo mechanics and the beauty of Infinite's mechanics and new modes. Let people experience Halo in new ways. It's time for that.
I absolutely agree. Let me catch up with some of the super chats, because we do have a little bit left before we get you on out of here. I can't believe it. An hour almost went by. Like, this is crazy.
We can talk about Halo all day. You know that.
Yeah, we have. Well, listen, this is the Halo episode. Hopefully, people are enjoying it. We have almost 300 people here. Splendiferous drops not one but two super chats. The first one of $2 says, There's so much to play right now, and Xbox gamers are crying. Why? I can't argue that. And he also says, after dropping an additional $5 super chat, look at the size of these games. They are massive. 4K 60, 120 ray tracing. We have to be patient gamers and not seem ungrateful. Look where we are coming from. And he's got a great point there. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says the hardcore needs to understand it will be a mode, not replace the other modes. And there you go. That's a fantastic point. And again, like I said earlier, I don't think I could have been more clear. One of the biggest problems in any franchise, Star Wars, Star Trek, pick whatever franchise floats your boat. The old guard has always stagnated growth because they want what they want and they want it to be the same way as it was X amount of years ago. I'm sorry to tell you, folks, you got to move with the world because the earth doesn't stay still. It's constantly spinning. And unfortunately, again, if they told us, Ames, hey, folks, listen, we're getting rid of Big Team Battle because we're bringing in, the Battle Royale.
I laughed out loud because could you imagine?
No, right, but it's preposterous to think.
Right.
But I say that, Ames, because it is. There are some people you talk to that believe that if they add a new mode, somehow these old modes are going to go away. And one of the things that I constantly see, and you actually made mention of it. Well, if they're working on a Battle Royale map, then we can. That means that there's X team is not working on new content for Big Team Battle, and that's not the way these development houses work. There are separate teams working everywhere. And here's the thing, folks: if Certain Affinity is that team that's working on the Battle Royale mode, and 343 continues to get in their cadence, because look, you said something. Someone said something in the chat a little earlier. I don't have it in front of me. By Christmas, we're all going to be praising Halo. I'm still praising Halo. But there are people that want content, and we cannot sit here on our stool and suggest that there isn't a content issue. 343 knows there's a content issue. We know there's a content issue, and they're addressing it now. Content takes time to make. I do have two questions left for you. And one is multiplayer, one is single player. I want to keep with multiplayer.
Okay.
When people say, when I go and I open up the Master Chief, the Master Chief collection, the MCC.
Yeah.
There are 70 maps. Some classics, there are classics upon classics upon classics. When someone says, how come they can't just take 10 maps from there and move it over to Infinite? Just, as I've seen written, just, copy and paste. Boom. You're laughing, but I'm only telling you what has been said to me.
I know.
It is hilarious. Why can't they do that? Why can't they simply just right click, copy and paste to Halo Infinite to bring in Blood Gulch or something or something else? Thanks.
Yeah. So it's I guess that the simplest way to explain that is that kind of map design is not fluid across titles. Even you'll know that, and that's for a number of reasons. It has to do with sandbox. It has to do with movement speeds. It has to do with bullet trajectory, weapon design, their vehicle design and speeds. There's a massive amount of calculations that go into the sandbox. There's actually an entire team at 343 that is literally just called the sandbox team. And that's what they work with, all the nuances of the weaponry and the vehicles and placements of things and stuff like that. So that's why in the past you'll see they've remade Blood Gulch multiple times. They've remade, oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on the classic Halo 3 map with the two bases, in the waterfall.
Oh my God, hold on.
I'm getting old. Boom. God, we're getting old.
We both are, brother. I'm older than you, so it's okay.
But the point really is that you can't just say Lockout is one of the most favorite Halo maps
Who doesn't like Lockout
in arena history, right? Yeah, you can't just pick up Lockout and put it in Infinite because the Spartans are faster. There's clambering. There's different weapon styles. It would completely break the flow of the map.
Correct.
Now
Yeah.
that's where Forge really plays the role in Halo for fun, is that once Forge comes in, someone will recreate lockout, the
Yeah.
design of it, and they'll just throw it in and you'll be able to play it with friends.
Yeah.
But it may not be as balanced or competitively balanced as a 343 designed map, but it's still fun, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they look at Forge for, is to kind of create all those kind of experiences that players can just have fun with, even if they're not the most balanced or what have you. It's just nuts. So that's the short answer there. The other answer is that 343 has been pretty clear, and they said this at the launch, is that they're going to pay homage to classic Halo maps. In fact, Fragmentation, I believe it's called, the big team map with the 2 bases. That is it's Valhalla. That's the map I couldn't think of.
Yeah, someone's actually just said that in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it. Yeah, so Fragmentation pays homage to Valhalla in a way. It's got the 2 bases, the kind of avenues, and you see the design cues from that. But they've been pretty clear they want to bring new experiences in. As much as fans love Blood Gulch, love Lockout, love Valhalla, these things, we've played those for decades too. It's nice to see some new maps. And generally speaking, at least in my opinion, and I think most of the people I play with generally feel they've done a damn good job, especially on the arena map side. Like, the arena maps are really competitive. Some great kind of hardcore experiences there. So that was a little long-winded, but yeah,
no. Listen, this is a conversational podcast, brother. I love to hear the hot takes and the honest takes. That's why I asked you to be here. And like I said, it just so happens you actually said it in the DM to me, like, wow, boom, I come on at a perfect time. There's so much Halo to talk about, and here we are. So listen, we're at the hour mark, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask the question. Now, if you follow me, I always consider myself to be a selfish single player fan. It's probably why I just crossed 182 hours in Elden Ring. If you could believe that, and that's a lot for a non-Souls guy. And like I said, gave myself a bit of a migraine, which I have right now as we speak, because I've died, I want to say 30 times this morning. As a matter of fact, I didn't do anything today. I did the ultimate lazy man. I did no chores, no nothing. I sat on the couch since 8:30 playing Elden Ring, trying to build these different builds.
You're living the dream, man.
I am. Well, I retired. So yeah, that's what happened. But I absolutely loved Halo Infinite's single player campaign.
Me too.
I thought it was a triumph upon triumph. Probably, for years, Halo 3's campaign has always been number one. And this has now taken over that slot. I loved it. I love the grappling hook has just changed the way we play Halo single player. There isn't anything that's not attainable in regards to height. You could be falling to your death and somehow hit that grappling hook, which is done to me. I got knocked off an edge, hit, and I just kept doing it and got myself back up to the top of it. It's incredible. Here's the question, Ains.
Yep.
We know that they are struggling.
Yep.
To get the multiplayer in a cadence. I love the word, because that's exactly. And once the cadence is hit, once we're getting new content every 3 months, this conversation is dead, folks. Because once they hit their stride, and I believe they're gonna hit it, if they hit their Apex Legends stride, man, Halo is going to be in that conversation of the big four. Fortnite, Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, and Halo Infinite are going to be the 4 games that people continue to go back to. I can't wait to see it. Now I got to be a little selfish here, Ains. A couple of years ago, we saw the leak with what their strategy was. Again, this is a leak, folks, so take it with a grain of salt. But they were going to have storied content that was centered around specific characters, giving us a look and a story outside of Master Chief's new story that we all finished. My question to you is, with the troubles that the multiplayer has been having with getting the cadence that we know that it's going to come eventually, when do we see the single player aspect, the growth, the continuation of this, admitted 10-year plan for
Yeah.
Halo Infinite?
Yeah, I honestly believe that's the tougher question versus multiplayer.
I would agree with you there. I really
Yeah.
would.
Because we know that there was a lot of scope that was cut from Halo Infinite's campaign, and I'm with you, Boom. I adore Halo Infinite's campaign. I just love it. I love the story. I love the gameplay. I love everything about it. But we do know fundamentally that the scope of that game was supposed to be a lot bigger. We also know that, and I'll try not to dive into spoilers, although we're 6 months post launch. But we also know that if you're a big Halo fan that plays through the games as well, that the ending that we got at the end of Halo 5 and some of the characters that were kind of fundamental to ending that journey, no matter what you thought about Halo 5, they didn't really play a role in Halo Infinite. And did my camera freeze? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, it did.
Okay?
It's okay. It's okay.
Right.
It's no big deal.
I don't know why that happened on Bigcast this week too. I'll refresh when I'm done speaking here. But yeah, I think that I'm concerned because they have a lot on the plate in terms of single player. You've got what the game closes on, right? Which is a very big future story topic and where the journey is going. It's huge. And I think it has potential to be one of the most fun and kind of refreshing angles of the Halo universe in canon yet. I'm super excited about that. But then you also have things like, where is Locke? And trust me, I'm a hardcore Halo fan. I know there's plenty of people who don't care about Locke, but he can be redeemed. All right, I'm going to make the case for Locke.
First of all, look, can I just jump in for a second?
Please, I'll refresh while you're doing that.
Look, here's the thing. Locke may not be your cup of tea, but he is an important character. Let me bring you back in, Ains. There you go. Your camera's back to him. So, one of the things that look, my opinions of Halo 5, I'm not going to reiterate them. You know that I walked away with the story quite disappointed, and I did because I wanted to use Master Chief. That's what we play Halo for. But I will say I have no problem playing as Locke. I like Team Osiris. I think that everyone on there, including Buck, are incredible. We know where Buck is from, right? So everyone has a backstory. The problem that what hurt Halo 5, specifically Locke, was the fact that there was these commercials, these incredible lead-up commercials to what we were going to get. And folks, we didn't get it. That's the problem. So when you say redeemed, I honestly think that you are onto something, because there is a tremendous Locke story that we don't know. And I would love, I'm going to throw some Halo, so while we continue in there, let me just change the footage, folks. So I mean, by all means, continue.
You got
you like myself, we have some concerns, obviously, because if there's one thing they have not talked about, Haynes, and they've been very talkative, very transparent, there's been no mention of single player.
No, and I think, again, we keep kind of caveating that we're speculating, but I think it's because, as we've discussed for this show, they're under fire for multiplayer content.
Correct.
And I think, again, going back to the whole cadence word, once they get that ball rolling, there's probably, development teams in 343 working on single player content.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's probably so far away. But I think you've just got, between the ending of Halo Infinite, you've got Locke can be redeemed as a separate character. Your point, I think, is the point that all of us share. It's not that we hated Locke. It's that Locke cannot replace Chief. Don't replace Chief with Locke for me, right? Like, we need to be Chief.
Locke he can be a great character. Spartan.
Exactly. He can be a great character. And then you've got Arbiter, and you've got what was going on with Halsey. And there's a lot of story threads, especially if you just look at the games and take the books out, because the books do touch on a lot of this in between these game releases.
A lot of people don't read the books, though, so they do owe it to their fan base. Like for instance, for me, I'm a diehard Halo fan. I got an energy sword right here. I got a Master Chief helmet in front of me. I got four statues of Chief. So I'm a fan, but I don't read the books.
Exactly.
The truth of the matter is, I don't have a lot of time. This with 4 shows, it's barely enough time to play games. So I don't read the books. So for me, I look for my story to be told to me through what we're doing here. We're talking about video games. So they do owe it to the fan base to tell me this story about Locke, but don't do it in a book because I'm not going to read it. Tell it to me in a game I'm going to play.
Yeah, I agree completely. That's the line they have to walk, right? Is they can deliver broader stories in the books for the people who are really into that type of thing, but
Yes,
you have to make, you can tell that with Infinite, and I love the story they told in Infinite. I loved it. But you can tell that they streamlined it, right? And they kind of removed a lot of these other narrative threads, and that's okay. But they really, if you're talking about Infinite being this long-term journey and kind of getting campaign expansions, right? And you've already now have a new ending that you need to work towards as well. Yep. You've got to figure out how you bring some of these other narrative threads and key characters, including Osiris, including Halsey, including Arbiter, and you've got to bring those into this kind of new direction you've taken the game.
And one thing you left out there,
the
one thing that we thought was coming, the one thing that I actually said, I didn't say this because I would have had to do it. I'll shave my head if the Flood aren't in this game. And that is the one character arc that almost seems criminal that they weren't in here. And we understand why. We understand why. They're telling a new Halo, story, which I thought was phenomenal. But at some point, we got to get the Flood back into the conversation. They're on the Halo ring that supposedly the Flood were made in a lab, right? That's the rumor, right? It would be pretty dope if you could get to a different biome through DLC that was, based on the Flood.
Yeah. It's they kind of allude to it in the story a bit, and we know what's going on there, and it feels like they're building up to this culmination that will include the other. I'm trying not to say anything specific, right? But the other kind of main big bad villain that's out there, who is doing something with basically something we haven't seen in the games before, which is awesome. It's only really been lightly written about in Halo canon, which is amazing. And then if you combine kind of this Flood aspect with these other core characters we're talking about, the potential for what they can do with campaign expansions is astronomical. But
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Your original question of what does this look like? When's it going to be delivered? How do they deliver it? Those are extremely tough questions, and I'm less confident in when that's going to occur versus the multiplayer delivery.
Yeah,
personally,
I mean, listen, what are we gonna say, right? I'll put it this way, and I know we went a few minutes longer than we originally planned, but I do want to say this before we get out of here. For a game that is lacking in extensive, content, for a game that hasn't had a single player update, you're playing a pretty perfect game. Now, granted, are they short in some areas? Yeah, they absolutely are short in areas. But to suggest that this is, because I've seen, again, people are just awful. This is garbage. This is hot garbage. Then you didn't play it because it's far from it. Yeah. Even at launch, it was, I thought, a masterpiece. Considering where they were. Remember, this game was shown off a year before with Poppin'. Now, is there still Poppin'? Sure there is. But you know something? There's Poppin' in Horizon Forbidden West all over the place, and yet that game got 9s. So don't tell me that a game that has Poppin' is somehow a bad product. It happens. That's life. When you're trying to have so many SKUs, listen, did the Poppin' affect your gameplay? No, it didn't. So then why do you care? Just enjoy the game. So for a game that is lacking in content, it is a pretty damn good game at its core. The foundation is strong. They have to build upon it. I hope that the building doesn't really take too long. I think one of the things that they're seeing that's a problem is player retention. And that's because, well, they don't have the new content. Because what's happening? Who are they going up against, Ains? Well, Fortnite has got this character and this battle pass. Oh, this new map was just added to Apex Legends, and oh, they got these two new characters. Oh, and Call of Duty. Well, Call of Duty, even though it's considered the salt mines by some people for developers, and that comes courtesy of our good friend Kay Asante. They're getting new content. I think this becomes a non-conversation issue once the content comes. But I am like you. I really don't worry too much about the multiplayer aspect because I think they got it handled. They've talked about it. We know that new content is coming. But that silence on the single player stuff, man, that is, at least for me, incredibly concerning. And I don't know when they're going to answer it. As a matter of fact, you know what's crazy, Ains? I haven't seen anyone actually ask. I've never seen an interview since the season 2 was announced. Hey, when is the single player campaign additions coming? It's all been multiplayer. And I hear you. I get it. And I know that I am on the minority aspect of it. But I hope someone does ask that question. And I wish I could reach out to Staten himself and say, hey, listen, brother, I'm not getting on your case about it, but I would really like to go back to single player. When can I get this content? And maybe Ains, that comes when co-op comes. Maybe they, again, it's only speculation, but Ains, this has been an amazing 72 minutes worth of conversation. We had almost 300 people here. And again, this is a slow burn. This show, it's I think this is only episode 8 or 9. This is going to be every Thursday, folks. The one-on-one conversations that I've had with the likes of Randall Thor 19 and Jeff Grubb and Miles Dompierre and Jez Corden and King David, among the many that have been a part of this. Wandering Dutch 2 weeks ago is something that I'm quite enjoying. I hope that you are in fact enjoying it. It's certainly a much easier way to sit down and talk about a specific topic. You're in and out in 60 minutes. But Ains, thank you so much for being here, brother. But before we get you out of here, we got to sell the brand. We got to tell everyone about Season Gaming. We got to tell everyone about the Bitcast. You and your mates each and every week sit down like a bunch of guys and just enjoying it and having a bunch of fun. You got some really cool guests. I've been a guest on there before. Tell everyone about that. Where could people check out these incredible shows? Where could they check out Season Gaming? And where could they reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, thanks, man. This has been a lot of fun. I love talking Halo, love talking with you. So just appreciate it, brother. Yeah, so Season Gaming, honestly, you can find almost everything there. We are an outlet, a small outlet that covers all platforms, no bias, no ads, no monetization. So our whole thing is really just covering the news and stories as they are. So if you enjoy just video games in general and love getting your news without a slant, without an angle, that's what we're all about. So I appreciate you checking us out. You can find me. I'm Ains. Because of the name, I'm pretty easy to find, but I go by Porsche Power online everywhere. You can find me on Twitter. You can find Season Gaming on Twitter. And then, every Sunday morning, we do a live show at 11 a.m. Eastern called Bitcast. That is me, Travis from IGN, who does Fireteam Chat, a lot of Destiny coverage. Rick Hogue, who you might know.
That was a great addition. I saw that a couple of weeks back. We love Mr. Hogue. He's been actually a couple of times he's jumped on because he's very busy on Breakfast with Boom to give us a lowdown of specifically on the Activision Blizzard stuff that is made news again. It made news again. A subsect of 5% of this group wants Activision. They're 5%. They count for 5%. They want them to put the nix on this deal because they don't feel it's to the betterment of the shareholders. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's a non-story. I read it. They're a bunch of boobs, and what they what they want to do. And again, I'm not a money man, so what do I know? They want this deal to not go through because you know what happens if it does? You're probably going to get Activision to file Chapter 11. Because the stock is going to tank. And you know what this 5% of these 5% is going to do? They're going to buy the stock up. That's what they're going to do. So don't worry, the deal is still going through, but please continue.
Yeah, so it's me, Travis, Hogue, and then of course Dan Rodriguez, who's been with me at Season Game for a long time. So we have a good time every Sunday morning. It's a great relaxed show. We have a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. So if you enjoy live shows like this, and you just have a casual Sunday morning with some coffee, or if you're in Europe, of course, it's your afternoon, chilling with some games and want to hear some guys just chat, stop by. We'll love to have you. But
yeah, I usually catch it when I'm making breakfast in the morning after our weekend hike, which I can't wait to get back to. We're going to do that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Looking forward to getting out with nature and just, it's great. No masks. There's nobody. We're up super early. We're up at 5 a.m. and we're out to do it by 5:15. And it's great because there's no one there. So we don't got to wear the masks. And it's just, it's nice. So when I'm making breakfast, usually I'm catching Living Split Screen, the Gaming Circle podcast on Saturdays, and I catch your show on Sunday. I normally, because I'm cooking, I can't be in the chat, so I just listen. Real quick, folks, before we get you out of here, there's still 200 people here. Don't forget about tomorrow's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. Wandering Dutch is joining us, and we also, who's the other guest? Oh my God, I'm so old.
Mike Mullis.
No, he's actually coming on primetime, Mike.
Oh, primetime. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Mike is coming on primetime. Very excited about that. Noof Nukem is joining us, and he always seems to come when we do the big giveaways, because that's right. Tomorrow, Mrs. Boom and I are giving $300 worth of digital gift cards away. Again, it's one of our we do 3 or 4 big ones. This is one of them. And that is powered by the super chats that come in, by the channel memberships, 4 $50 gift cards, as well as 4 $25 gift cards. And all you got to do to win, folks, is be in the chat. If you drop a super chat, you get an additional entry. And if you are a channel member, you get an additional entry. And we will deliver those by day's end. Everyone that wins, 8 winners, picked live on the air through a picker. I don't pick them out, of a hat or anything, or I don't pick them myself. I'd let the picker do it, but that's going to be live tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have some pretty major topics regarding Xbox. We just got some new information from Jeff Grubb that their event is not happening in May. It is happening in June, which we all suspected, but that comes the way of VentureBeat alumni Jeff Grubb. And we have another topic regarding what they need to show at this big show, because a lot of people want to see these first-party games that we've been only hearing about in conversation. We actually want to see some visualization of it. And but listen, folks, thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming, supporting this new X-Vlog live content that I'm doing weekly. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that is important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me with kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules. And I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X-Vlog Live.